It's good to soak the rice cakes briefly before boiling. It's not important how you cut the fish cakes or vegetables, just make them easy to eat. Salmi, do you like spicy food? How much broth do you want? Should I make it mild or generous? Actually, I do like tteokbokki, but I haven't eaten it that much, first time actually cooking. So, do you have a favorite tteokbokki among the ones you've tried? Ah, there. Then, you like lots of broth. I hope the seasoning is right, let me know if it's too spicy or bland. Wow, this is amazing. It's really delicious. The rice cakes are chewier than store-bought ones. I've thought about it before. Saiwoo, you're really good at cooking. I'm not that good. I just like it. My mom has taught me little by little since I was young. Thank you. Did you purposely go to the grocery store because of me? My condition's not that bad for you to worry. I've just been thinking about things these past few days. Was it really the right thing to go save those people that day? In the end, I couldn't save anyone, the situation escalated, and people got hurt, or even died. And even my mom, my best friend, got involved in the mess I caused. But that's not your fault, Saiwoo. You might receive criticism for being reckless, but you didn't commit a sin. What happened at the apartment that evening was clearly the responsibility of the shamans for acting unjustly. I know what you're worried about, Salmi. It's okay, even if I blame myself, I won't just shrink because of it. However, I've definitely realized something because of this incident. How one's actions can lead to certain consequences. And how heavy the burden of responsibility can be. Even if my life is at risk. I realized that my thoughts were much more arrogant and selfish than I had thought. I didn't even have the ability to end my own life. Now that Seal was back, I'm trying to focus on what I can learn from this. Huh. Seal was back. But she's probably still in the underworld. Last night, I heard footsteps from the ceiling and woke up for a moment. Well, the soundproofing in this villa isn't that great. Oh, no. If Sealwa came back, something's off. After the fight with the shamans, Sealwa went back to the underworld for rest. But besides not telling me when she returned, there's been no news from her even after she came back last night. Sealwa, are you in there? If you came back, at least stop by and say something. Sealwa. No visible injuries or bleeding. When was the last time you saw her in perfect condition? Then, she could have been like that for a week now. You'd know better, but she's a person with strong unnecessary pride. So, she probably tried to cover it up and not show it. Seeing that she came back, she probably thought she had resolved it herself, but in reality, she probably didn't. If it's to heal Sealwa, taking her to the underworld is the only option. For the yokai in the human realm, there isn't even a proper physician. Yeah, even if it means risking her life, she'll probably be disqualified from being the next candidate. Even among them, the Sealwa clan's way of thinking is special among yokai. Among the clan members born of the same blood, there are often fights for personal gain, tricks and conspiracies are common. Some even end up dying in the mess, but it's a value that, the victim is at fault. I've heard that there are many clan members who coveted the next candidate status, but Sealwa never showed any gaps in her exceptional qualities and skills. But now, the rumor that Sealwa is sick will spread in no time. And then, no one knows what other foxes might do to a weakened Sealwa. There's no guarantee it'll work. But there might be one way to try. Really? Anything is fine, just teach me if there's something I can do. If the fight with the shamans is the cause, and there are no visible external wounds. You know what that is, don't you? That's probably what she initially thought too. So that might be the reason for his appearance. Anyway, if it really was caused by a ghost, we don't need to go to the underworld, there are experts nearby. I've already contacted them, they'll be heading there soon. I'm really curious. Why would that noble fox lady need a lowly ghost like me? Indeed. I can certainly tell you one thing for sure. If appropriate measures are not taken, the most one can endure is 3 days at best. After that, the one affected will stop breathing. Then, is there no other way? Such as a ritual or exorcism. Exorcism. A Buddhist ceremony for those possessed by spirits. Domti is like getting wet in the rain on a cloudy day. The method to relieve the afflicted is not so complicated. Among them, the best course of action would be to dispel the rainclouds themselves. Just the clear sky and the warmth from the sun will naturally dry the body and restore warmth. If the rain is too severe to dissipate easily, taking shelter under a rainproof roof and waiting it out could also be a strategy. Though it may be imperfect, at least immediate soaking of the body can be avoided. But this, how did one end up afflicted by such a venomous thing? I don't know which Jayakmo created this curse, but just their stupidity alone warrants death. As one who deals with spirits, if one is burdened with a resentment that they cannot properly handle, without even having the courage to handle it, they will ultimately release such a thing into the world. It seems like I am not in a position to do anything. Then, at least, you could try something. It seems like you're deluding yourself. Of course, it's not that I refrain from intervening just because of my feelings. I don't have any obligation to save that person. No, even attempting to remove it would be a disaster. If one were to forcibly extract it, it wouldn't end with just that one being affected. Surely, the anger would spread to those around. In my estimation, if it were to happen, over 1,000 people would be caught up in the curse of that fierce thing. The reason she was able to endure for so long is only because of her high status. Regardless of the outcome, ending this by taking them to the underworld would be the right choice. For personal reasons, it's too risky to take on, it's just too much. I may not know much about soul-related matters, but if it's you, Wu Liang, you can find a solution somehow, right? No matter how foolish or reckless the method is, as long as we don't intervene directly, that's enough. Even if these guys were to mess up, they wouldn't be shameless enough to drag us down with them. Right? Yes, of course. But my lord, why? Anyway, this fox isn't even worthy of being my rival. There's no harm in showing kindness. And, pitiful, isn't it? Your friends are unable to do anything as you're dying. Really, how pathetic. My lord, when did you become so sentimental? Hey, thank you, for supporting Sielwa. There are two things that need to be prepared. A ritualist to expel the spirit, and a vessel to contain the expelled spirit. Both of these should be of the highest quality possible. As for the vessel, can't it be completely incinerated without sealing it? It's impossible. The strength of a spirit depends on the intensity of the resentment it holds. Upon death, the power of a spirit is determined by the hatred and lingering attachments it held in life. However, since the amount of that power is finite, once all of it is used up, most spirits either incinerate or dissipate naturally. Only a few exceptions like me become lingering spirits and obtain new bodies as yokai. But exorcism is different. An artificially twisted and distorted existence through magic, it may possess intense hatred, but it cannot even become a lingering spirit. That's why there was concern about its anger spreading. Unable to incinerate or become a yokai, it simply possesses new bodies at will. That's why weapons are commonly used as vessels to contain the spirit in order to appease it. Although it's not a body made of flesh and blood, it's a kind of promise to let it go on a rampage without restraint. The problem here is that the quality of the vessel must match the urgency of the spirit. For ordinary spirits, finding a vessel to contain them should suffice. But for spirits of the highest level, a mere description as utmost would be insufficient. Then, what did you mean by ritualist? Although exorcism itself is a human ritual. Excluding that fact, the skill of removing possessed spirits is much superior on the human side. Although many may not agree. Ritualist specifically refers to those exceptional individuals in that field. If you are asking how to recruit such individuals, I've already mentioned it, haven't I? The possibility is extremely slim. Though Sealwa's life is at stake and we can't stand idly by, something about coming here feels like a bad idea. This audacity. Oh, hello, we've met a few times before. Aren't you Yushin's cousin, who lives together at home? Don't joke. I know I'm not just some lowly yokai. Even if I only have half the blood of a human, I still have some dignity. How dare you shamelessly show your face here? Do you know how much trouble you've caused my lord because of your... What trouble did he cause? My lord. If anyone heard you, they'd think that I'm no longer in this world. Did you try contacting me? I was sleeping. Why are you just staring at me? Stop sitting there and come in. I'm getting annoyed just by looking at your expression. Isn't that a bit too much? There's plenty to drink at home. At least I could make some tea with hot water. Last time you were here, you seemed to really like Saiwu. You even thought that he seemed like a really good person, but then again, I might be biased because of how I see people. Maybe it's because he's like you. He's willing to risk everything just to protect a single demon. Even if it means giving up a promising future and choosing a difficult path in life. A difficult path in life, couldn't you put it in a more positive way? Living more freely, independently, with confidence. Sorry for being so negative about it. Well, you heard what I said. I left home. It's not just an act of rebellion, I even renounced my family registry. Yushin, I'm telling you, it's not your fault, although you probably won't believe me. It was something I had planned all along. Anyway, this isn't an apology from me. I'm no longer a minister now. Everything I've done so far. Because you're my friend, but because I believed it was the right thing to do. To eat the nation's grain and devote myself to the well-being of the people of this land, protecting you and your mother was my duty as a minister. But now I'm not even a minister, just a homeless teenager without a plan. You said you needed a ritualist, right? Well, you found one. I may not be the best in the peninsula, but I'm certainly among the top 3. Anyone who wants to use me for their own gain will have to pay the right price. Even if it's my best friend. Yeah, if there's anything I can pay with, no, even if I can't, I'll find a way to pay it back. Got it? The person who is here right now is not just my friend, he's our first and most cherished customer. So, please provide proper service to our guest. You know, this world is divided into 2 main parts. The human realm and the demon realm. Most of the residents live in these 2 realms. Most. Yeah, I mean, the human and demon realms are like two continents floating on the sea. And in between them, there are small worlds, like islands. A few humans and yokai live there too. They're like autonomous regions, free from the laws of our modern society or the rule of the Demon King. You might have heard of them in old stories. Places like the utopian Peach Blossom Land, where immortals who are said to exist somewhere beyond the mountains, or the Dragon Palace, along with fantastic cities and kingdoms beneath the sea. Are there many of those places? Not really. Most of them are small, like just one small city. There's even one that's just the size of a shopping mall. So, those who live there are, quite literally, the upper class of our world. For yokai, there are yokai who once ruled as ancient yokai kings, but now they don't care about recent ceremonies. For humans, there are those who have achieved enlightenment, even transcending their own lifespans, leaving human affairs behind. Fascinating story, but what does that have to do with my service fee? You can't pay my service fee right now. But you said you'd find a way to pay. 2 days from now. One of the places I mentioned earlier, the Dragon Palace, is hosting a feast. To celebrate the birthday of the Dragon King's youngest daughter, they're holding a small martial arts competition, open to humans and yokai alike. And you and I will be participating as a team. That's the service fee I want. Somewhere on the East Coast. Greetings to our guests. I'm called Gu Parayan, and I'm the steward of the Dragon Palace on the East Sea. Please, feel free to address me as Lady Gu. I express deep gratitude for the attendance of the officials from the Bureau of Sacred Waters for the princess's birthday celebration. As mentioned before, I'm no longer affiliated with the Bureau of Sacred Waters. I'm here as an independent attendee. You don't need to observe any formalities with me. Even if affiliations change, the courage that carried you to the top ranks at such a young age remains the same. However, the companion beside you. Ah. This lad has been my servant since childhood. His name is Choi Makdol, and although he is not originally from the Bureau of Sacred Waters, he possesses considerable skills. I brought him along to participate in the martial arts competition with me. The Dragon Palace is a unique place. While the Dragon King and his tribe are essentially creatures of the supernatural, for thousands of years, they have neither competed for dominance with yokai nor harmed humans, establishing themselves as a neutral force. Therefore, both humans and yokai can equally participate in the celebration. But, there seems to be considerable room for problems. As I've said, it's a neutral territory. Moreover, places like the Dragon Palace strictly adhere to their own laws. For thousands of years, the Dragon Palace has always been friendly to humans. Wouldn't it be safer for humans to be here than in the human world? If there were any real problems, it might be because you're a yokai. As a yokai, wouldn't traveling with a human like me raise suspicions? Even if no one says anything at the Dragon Palace, other guests might still find it suspicious and nitpick. However, the competition is a place for fighting. So, without using demonic arts or weapons, there could be other methods. Although I didn't witness it firsthand before, I could sense your righteous energy from your encounters with the Jack-Young siblings. But it's not as strong as using demonic arts. It doesn't matter. I'll handle the tough fights. You'll pretend to be human, that's my condition. Before inviting you both to the palace, I would like to inform you about the upcoming martial arts competition. As you know, tomorrow's tournament is a celebration of the princess's birthday. The curtain will rise during the banquet, but the finalists must already be determined before the end of the banquet. Therefore, it's unrealistic for all participants to compete on the same day. Are you suggesting a preliminary round? Yes, I apologize for the inconvenience, but considering that the number of participants far exceeds the estimate the palace made in advance. The jade plaques we have given you will serve as your identification badges for your stay within the palace for the next 2 days. It will also allow us to track your whereabouts and status. Once you hold the plaque, it becomes yours, and your participation in the competition is accepted. It can also roughly measure the amount of chi the owner possesses, determining their approximate level, so please don't feel too resentful. Don't worry. The mask you're wearing perfectly suppresses your output here. The plaque will detect you as a human. Once again, I sincerely thank you both for your participation. Now, then. Without further delay, let us escort you to the preliminary venue. They seem to be our opponents. Well then, let me explain the preliminary rules first. The preliminaries will be held as continuous battles. Participants will fight against members of other groups until they forfeit twice. There isn't a specific win requirement to advance, is there? That's correct. As soon as you forfeit twice, the preliminary will end for you, and you'll have to wait for further instructions. Your score will be determined by the number of wins you have accumulated at the end of the round. Once all preliminaries have concluded, the top 8 groups with the highest scores will advance to the finals. It's quite dirty, isn't it? It's a malicious method for mere selection. Even though forfeiting seems safe at first glance, those who have come here with the resolve to give up cleanly are unlikely. Considering that the final match of the martial arts competition's tomorrow, it's like running a long-distance race where the end is uncertain and you can't see ahead. The moment you lose even a slight of control, everything will fall apart. Despite the inconvenience, they decided to personally greet each participant separately for this reason. To prevent the participants from estimating the total number of people participating in the competition. But, was it necessary to go this far? This doesn't seem like a preliminary round for a competition, but rather. Hey, Choi. What are you suddenly doing without saying anything? Don't worry, young master. Since preserving stamina is crucial, it's only right for someone like me, with lacking skills, to step up. Don't worry too much. I'll definitely win. Before the martial arts match, let me briefly introduce the backgrounds of the opponents you'll be facing. Hailing from the Korean peninsula, they are yokai from the Red Centipede Cave. Despite their young age, both siblings have reached the level of extraordinariness. Not resorting to cannibalism and rising to the level of extraordinariness, it's evidence that they are on a different level from ordinary beings who have entered the human world. Got it? If you think you can't handle it with your abilities, retreat. The other team consists of 2 practitioners of martial arts. One of them was affiliated with the Bureau of Sacred Waters. I heard that the Bureau of Sacred Waters is where the strongest humans gather, but being affiliated means they're not anymore, right? I don't know the details, but that's correct. Perhaps. There's no need to talk too much. You can roughly gauge their abilities just by looking at them. I was curious about the level of these martial artists called guardians. But it seems they're not as formidable as I thought. Judging from the aura of the one walking towards us, they're at best in the lower ranks of yokai. Is the one behind him at least on par with a special class? I have one question: if the opponent dies before forfeiting, am I responsible? No, you're not. Everyone has prepared for potential accidents during the tournament. So, is this the grand feast of the Dragon Palace? I'll take care of both of them. Why? The reason for the preliminary round being continuous battles is not to conserve strength. It's to kill and eat the opponent before them forfeiting and become as strong as possible. What? Then, brother, don't worry. It'll be my little sister's first taste of human flesh. Of course, we should enjoy it together. Come first. You showed courage by bringing this young and tender body to this place. As an elder, I'll yield a move. You're so audacious and impetuous. That's not giving way. It's aiming for a quick counterattack before the forfeiture. But Choi Sai-woo is not the kind to easily give in to such a plan. As I felt last time, at least in terms of fighting, your intuition and sense are quite impressive. That backhand, could it be? Earth Dragon Poison Kick. The flow of the next moment was created by two variables. The boy had already faced someone that used a poison-type intrinsic skill. With that bitter experience, and information about the yokai being centipedes, he predicted the opponent's moves. Before becoming a half-yokai with goblin's blood and the talent of a guardian, he was a first-rate martial artist who mastered various martial arts. Perhaps everyone here will see for the first time. A martial arts from a distant continent across the sea. Rabo de Araya. What kind of playful movement is this? There's no power or effect that defies natural laws. It's just efficient. Like all martial arts created by ordinary humans, they're just movements born out of the desire to pursue strength from a weak body by any means. Gallopant. TL/C, it means galloping. What? He managed to hit him 3 times with that playful movement. Not bad. He perfectly seized the initiative. The problem is, the base power difference, huh? The righteous chi that Sai-woo possesses as a guardian is at a beginner level. Because of this difference, even with 3 clean hits, he couldn't deal significant damage to the opponent. How long do you think those petty movements will work? Just once. If he just defends and counters once. Then, you won't get hit 4 times. What, the life force of yokai is truly resilient. Although there might be differences depending on the species and strength, it's not uncommon for them to recover even after losing a significant portion, or even most, of their bodies. However, even for yokai with extreme regenerative abilities, there exists an organ that cannot be restored under any circumstances. The yokai bead. To yokai, it's their other heart. No, it might even be more than that. Give it back, even if it manages to regenerate again, it'll only be the yokai bead that was in the same state as when it was born. And yokai must start over from scratch, rebuilding everything accumulated throughout their lifetime. Give it back. Is it okay to do that? That person stole my elder brother's yokai bead. That has nothing to do with the tournament. You're trying to force the wrong person. Rather than following the rules of the tournament, there is a much more certain solution, you know. Either kill me or knock me down to retrieve your elder brother's yokai bead. It's simple. I'm telling you this in advance, whether you take my body whole and eat it or whatever, I won't mind. What is this? Just from the feeling of his energy, he seems nothing special. Is this the level of human martial artists? If this servant is already at this level, how strong must the master be? Indeed, there was a reason why the former minister brought him here with trust. It's an extraordinary feat. Excellent skills and senses to overcome the difference in pure energy. Not only that, but saving your strength till the last moment, and dispersing your energy instead of concentrating it, was an excellent move. If he had shown such explosive power from the beginning, he would never have allowed such a vulnerable opening. I dare to guess from his energy that he's still at the beginning of his practice, but he'll surely become a skilled practitioner as he accumulates more energy in the future. Because he's talented. It would be troublesome to deal with opponents of that level. Actually, I didn't think so. Yushin's plan was simple. The mask he gave to Saiwu not only hides his yokai energy, but also suppresses its release. Also, in the case of humans, even if they have talent in martial arts, training is essential to cultivate it. Rapid growth through predation like yokai is almost impossible. Naturally, while wearing the mask, Saiwu became a novice guardian with the talent of a high-class yokai. So even though he has the talent, he lacks the practice necessary. So, originally, this was inevitable. And roughly, it would have flowed like this. I'm sorry for not being helpful, it's okay, it happens. And above all, it's just the beginning, right? You still have endless potential to become stronger as a martial artist. Just trust me. I'll teach you all the skills and secrets of martial arts that I know as much as possible. Together, we'll combine our strengths to seize victory. Yushin. This is where Yushin's plan roughly ends. In fact, Yushin's reason for recommending Saiwu to participate in the Dragon Palace martial arts tournament was not simply for the performance in the tournament, but an attempt to change Saiwu's direction. Yokai and Guardian. Saiwu possesses both talents at the highest level. And above all, both are in the early stages of development. So Yushin thought, what if I nurture Choi Saiwu's martial arts talent? Anyway, at this point, the difference between the two talents isn't significant. No, considering his explosive growth, it's almost non-existent. If there's a suitable opportunity to support his growth to greatness, perhaps his martial arts prowess could restrain the nature of yokai. Of course, with his talent alone, it wouldn't be a loss. Anyway, if that guy wants to become the Demon King to gain the power to protect as many people as possible, if you think only about that purpose, honestly, becoming successful as a martial artist is much more realistic. He's such a kind person that it's pitiful. That's why he's probably trapped in meaningless agony, even with power. Saving everyone is impossible by any means other than becoming the Yokai King. The world 6 months from now, a hell of survival of the fittest, where individual strength is powerless. No matter how powerful you are, you have to live according to the new laws. Trying to change those laws, turning all yokai into enemies and falling down, but being respected and revered by the many people you protect and lead, a life as a successful martial artist is much happier. Once he stands in that position, he'll have no choice but to realize and accept reality. Even if he resents it midway, this is the only answer for him. In this tournament, I'll definitely make him into a martial artist. I'll concede. We lost. There, I said it. Do we have to kneel? No, then, let's conclude this match with a victory for Kim Yushin. Any actions that harm either side from now on. Elder brother. Are you okay? Can you regenerate? That's tough, doesn't always go as planned. You better remember this day clearly. You wagered the name of the entire Red Centipede Cave, and you'll pay more than double the price for what you took today. On that time, it'll be on a different level from now. Not bad. Whenever, with however many people, I hope you'll come find me. At that time, I'll be even more prepared than I am now. What was that just now? That human felt like an entirely different existence for a moment. An imposing presence that could rival our palace generals. And the feats he had shown in the previous match, is such a person, really common in the world? No, originally, can humans really? Lady Kong. Didn't you just announce the end of the match? Why are you standing still? I am sorry. Then, I'll step back with the two I'm in charge of. So, are we going to fight the next opponent right away? Not exactly. Proceeding with the preliminaries in that way could be unfair. Preliminary matchups always start simultaneously. Even now, somewhere, other participants' matches are in full swing. Starting simultaneously with the match that ends last, the next round of matchups begins approximately 15 minutes later. Does finishing the matches early mean more time for rest? It seems saving strength isn't the only strategy. Are there no facilities or medications provided for rest? I'm sorry, but that's correct. While you were asked to cherish and serve regardless of passing or failing the preliminaries, during the preliminaries, you can't use anything other than what you already have with you. If you have something with you, then you can use it, right? That's. This charm is a token we only give to very special customers as our Scholars Assembly's signature. It's not just an item used to prove membership in the Scholars Assembly. If you use this charm, you can instantly summon our Assembly's services. It can be used anytime, anywhere on Earth. And the same goes for places beyond this world. This charm, that's right, it's the VVIP pass for the Scholars Assembly. Where did you get this? Our elder must have gone to such lengths to get this. What are you saying, sir? Didn't you personally entrust it to me when you left the house? You can bring this much, you said. That's true. Hey, it's not that I forgot to say that I told you to take it from the house. If you make it sound like that, what will happen? If this place was indeed the main palace of the Dragon Palace, it would be a problem, but this is an annex where the armed generals train outside the Dragon Palace. As long as the summon merchant doesn't directly interfere with the martial arts, purchasing items for a price is not a problem. However, to add a bit more context, such summons naturally recharge energy and consume items depending on the distance of the summon. Considering that this place is far from civilization, you could probably only summon once today. Considering this, it would be wise to decide when to call the merchant. These participants are more interesting than I thought. However, I'm not sure if they're the talents His Majesty is looking for. They might achieve quite good results in the tournament. Then, let's see what happened with the other matches. Since the match here just ended so quickly, the matches elsewhere are probably still ongoing. There shouldn't be too much overwhelming difference in skills among the participants. What is this? Not just here, but 5 matches have also already ended. Ugh. I can't understand this at all. They were clearly given 2 chances to live. Are these creatures of the land collectively losing their nerve? A truly overwhelming skill, to instantly kill 2 yokais belonging to the upper ranks. When she said she'd participate in the tournament alone, I thought it was just arrogance. Is this what they call the celestial ascension, from being born as a lowly creature to reaching the realm of gods? I'll ask for the first and last time. The prize determined for the winner of this game is, as I heard, right? Why yes, that's correct. His Majesty has a great interest and expectation for this tournament. In addition to various treasures and riches that'll be bestowed to the top winners, if you win the championship, you'll have the right to choose any treasure from the palace's treasury. His Majesty plans to accompany the winner to the treasure chamber and provide advice on which treasure to choose. There's no need for that. Just tell them. Even if it's a treasure chamber, it won't be much different from a mountain of firewood. There's only one thing I'm interested in. It's the legacy left by my great-grandfather, Sun Wukong, that he left behind in this dragon palace. This should be fine. Even if left alone without any intervention, it'll still live. So, are you also planning to intervene? Sorry, but I don't think I can give you much time to think. If there's no response even after 5 seconds, I'll consider it as a willingness to fight and attack. I concede. They're more skilled than I thought. Well, it's a real opportunity just before the main event. They must have gathered from all over. Still, I need to aim for a high ranking so that way, I can receive something worthy enough to cage the yokai that's haunting Sealwa. Now that I'm here, I'll give it my best shot. If the schedule takes more than a day, it should have been mentioned beforehand. We couldn't even close the shop properly. It says, open, on the storefront. Where did they go? What's the matter? Honestly, the store is closed half of the week based on your brother's mood. That's strictly for maintaining quality and introducing new items. Honestly, the coffee at your place is just average. Your regulars come because they recognize his face. Is that so? Madam, may I ask you something? I'm not sure if I can provide an answer, but... Do you happen to know if my friend participated in the martial arts competition? Please, just check if that friend participated or not. If it's just about one friend, it's Choi Saiwoo. The name Choi Saiwoo doesn't seem to be on the list. Participating name, Choi Makdal really? That's a relief. The chance of that guy being here is low, but if you're so worried, it might have been better to tell him directly. Don't make assumptions. Telling Saiwoo something like that would have the opposite effect. He would probably follow along saying he could handle it, right? Still, as you said, there's no way he would participate. He came here to seek resolution, so he's probably with that friend today. Because I don't think he's the kind of person who would bring Saiwoo to a place like this. Is it a cold? The 4 matches that followed after that. Choi Saiwoo had a surprising 5 consecutive victories. It's amazing, it's... Hey, Saiwoo, give me your hand. His energy isn't completely depleted yet. It's almost bottomed out, but considering the total amount this guy has, it should have ran out a few times already. Minimizing unnecessary losses, and only consuming the necessary energy at every moment. It's basic, but... The problem is that he probably learned it on his own without any guidance. Turn around and sit on the floor. Take off your shoes. Like this. Well, you'll get used to it soon enough. Anyway, the position you're doing is the lotus position, specifically, the posture of the half lotus. It's the most basic posture for controlling energy. Remember the direction of your legs. This might sting a bit. Do you feel it? I just infused my energy into your body. From now on, when I press on your back, you inhale, and when I release, you exhale. In the human body, there are pathways where energy flows, and the intersections of those pathways are called acupoints. Out of the hundreds of acupoints in your body, I've blocked a total of 64. When you inhale, 32 are blocked, and when you exhale, the other 32. Blocking different acupoints according to the breath is the basis of the focused mind technique. Right now, I'm infusing energy in blocking the acupoints for you, but eventually, you'll have to do it yourself. By doing this breathing exercise, it'll activate the body's recovery ability and absorb energy. 2. Not 3. This opponent is quite bold. Instead of choosing a partner for a 2-on-1, they've decided to participate alone. That's the granddaughter of the legendary Sun Wukong from Mount Wagwa on the Midland continent. Is that a human? Yes. He is a descendant of a clan that leads a special organization called the Bureau of Sacred Waters. Having protected this land for 1,000 years, with a lineage that spans generations, it's surely not an ordinary martial arts family. Everyone has a lineage. It's the quality that matters. Without a doubt, Xiaohui, the person who fought with Xiaohua at the department store. He only managed to withstand 2 attacks, but even that alone allowed Saiwu to gauge Xiaohuai's ability. Saiwu gave his all to reach his peak. But those yokais can do what Saiwu does at his best with just their casual attacks. They're yokais belonging to the level of spirits as Yushin mentioned before. Why isn't my body moving? I can't let Yushin face this alone. Keep still since I've immobilized you. And don't forget to breathe following the sensation from the acupoints. If your breath timing is off, you'll end up in a dire situation, you know. If you've tried to get into a stance 5 times, you should know when to back off. I think it's meaningless at this point. It would be best to concede. Seeing that he's unharmed, it seems like there's still one more chance. If you wait longer, you'll either die or regret not surrendering sooner. That's what it was. Considering that he fought 5 times alone, his condition still seems fine. Granddaughter of Sun Wukong or whatever, you survived just fine because you had a title that sounded reasonable. Just trust your ancestors and live on without getting injured, and those who overlook such things, compared to the level of the competition, it's really disappointing. Or are yokais inherently that stupid, no, naive? Maybe their long lifespans make them relatively slow to mature mentally. Magic, taming the divine wind. Hair. It's fast. It's not just about speed, there's grace in every movement. But even so, why is Yushin just avoiding the attacks? It's not like the situation is so dire that he can't even counterattack. Up until now, there have been 4, no, maybe 5 opportunities. Saiwa's eyes were accurate. While yokai's bodies are tough, they are by no means invincible. And Yushin's body and sword are weapons refined to cut through them. Yet, despite that, hesitating to attack, it's an instinctual intuition. What's this? Instead of the pillars, the circular floor is being supported by water. Well, shape or whatever, either way, it's normal that it doesn't move. 5 rounds of matches. Despite being hit by numerous significant impacts, there was not even a tremor, let alone a vibration. The structure of this arena floor might be designed to dissipate the impact it receives into the surrounding water. Whatever the principle may be, it must have been an impact that exceeded the limit of that shock absorption device. Just considering the weight alone, it's tens of tons, maybe even more than that. Wait. The abilities of the great sage equaling heaven, Sun Wukong, known through myths and folktales, are truly boundless. But before he reached the realm of demigods, the abilities he had when he was just a mere yokai are hardly known today. You were acting so cocky as if you were invincible, but you had a reason for it. A spirit born from the abundant energy. To the other things I've encountered before, I gave them an extra chance, but in your case, I'll make an exception. Her unique magic is controlling her own weight, no mass. Do you know who you're speaking to so arrogantly? Feel the difference in our strength and think about it carefully. The difference. It's my job to overcome and turn situations like this around. Yover. I'm so tired, and hungry, I can't move, anymore. Don't just lie down, get up and train. We still have an hour until dinner. Since we're here, let's make the most of this hour. Fill yourself up productively and dinner will taste even better, right? Now, grab your sword and start training. Why is it always me? The others just have morning training and then fool around like they're on a spiritual retreat or something. If they say they're cleansing their hearts, they must have dirty ones to begin with. So, why am I not given these heart-cleansing tasks? It's because I'm me, isn't it? If I were like the others, they'd have done it already. That's exactly it. People and swords have a lot in common. They need to be forged for a long time to become strong and good swords, but in the end, it's the quality of the steel that matters most. If the iron used as a material is of poor quality, it simply can't withstand the pounding. Young master, you're like sturdy timber that won't break no matter how hard you hit it, so you should pound it as much as possible. If you said that just to cheer me up, it's a complete failure. I never wanted to do this in the first place, whether it's martial arts or leading a gang. Those who do it because they want to are a dime a dozen. Why do you feel so reluctant? I just don't want to do it, that's all. There's no other reason. It's not cool, that's why. 1 in 10,000. The probability of being born with the minimum qualities required to become a shaman. Breaking through that probability to hone the skills needed to stand against humanity's enemies. Well, it sounds quite romantic when you just listen to it. The so-called heir of the gang, wasting time on trivial matters like this. When you think about where half of the flowing blood comes from, it's not hard to understand the occasional base temperament that surfaces. Think about where the other half comes from and what you gain and enjoy there. Do you understand? Well, I knew what I was getting into. No regrets. What? Honestly, it's terrifying, but, if I had just ignored it, I would have felt even worse, couldn't have stood it. It was something I wanted to do and my own problem. I'll do my best to handle the aftermath. Still, I'm pretty good at running away or avoiding what doesn't suit me. I'll figure something out, I guess. Where should I sit? Here, there's an empty seat. Looks like there aren't many close friends in the class. If you have nowhere else to sit, you can sit here. Oh, I usually sit at the front, because I'm short. Stop being petty and sit down. You're not getting any smarter by acting cocky. I can't exactly boss you around, but as long as you stick with me, you shouldn't get into trouble. You said your name was Choi Saiwoo. I'm Kim Yushin. Well, I don't think our school life will be all smooth sailing. So, let's get along. This is extraordinary. It can't be just a coincidence. This place was used for generations by the generals of the main palace for training, a stage that has stood firm for thousands of years reduced to that state with just one footstep. And it wasn't even an all-out effort, just a light strike. Such power, it's too massive for a young human barely 20 years old to withstand. It's over, this match. Looking back, I think what made me decide to leave home was indeed because of that night. Among all the humans I know in this world, he's the closest to being a protagonist in a story. I will become the yokai king. He, who was once considered a mere ordinary human, a subject to be protected in the near future, uttered such words. Of course, my thoughts on those words haven't changed. It's an improbable, nonsensical statement with no possibility. However, that was quite impressive. Surprising, isn't it? It'll be different from what you thought about human shamans. Choi Siwoo is a bit lacking. He needs to wake up and have a realistic perspective. But unfortunately, I'm quite exceptional.